Welcome to the Daily 20. We made it to the top, baby. I might look for that eagle today while I'm riding. On my way to the top, I was thinking about my dad. Like, I've seen my dad take a lot of hits, take a lot of losses, take a lot of setbacks. And I always wondered how, like, how does a human rise from loss like that? How does a human keep going, despite their best attempts failing, their best plans failing, you know? And I can't understand it. I can't understand what he has that makes him so resilient, so optimistic, so hopeful, you know? Can't. I've tried. I've spent thousands of hours in my life thinking about my dad, you know? Like, how does he do it? I remember my uncle, he was one day, this was 20 years ago. I think the artist, his name is Trace Atkins. He's got a song, Keep On Climbing, or something like that. And I think the jingle is, there's always a mountain in front of me, you know? And he told me something. He said, this song, it reminds me of your dad. And it's weird, but there's moments when you don't know how people that you love impact other people that you love. You don't know how people that you love are being observed by people. No way, a beaver? How you like that? I'm gonna stop on the way back. But you don't know the way that people are observing people you love. And, so anyway, we all know people that have proven their resilience. They've proven that they're not gonna just roll over for good. What's up, brother? They've proved day in, day out, time in, time out. They've proved that they're just some of the toughest people on earth. And I really believe in moments of challenge, moments of tribulation, moments of pain, moments of setback, moments of despair and hopelessness. We could draw strength from those people who we know have walked through the fire, burned, battered, bruised, broken, but still moving forward. Still moving forward. And my dad is one of those humans, you know. I definitely know. And sometimes when I have moments of all of those things that I just mentioned, he don't know it. But his example, what I've seen him endure, what I've seen him rise above, it has always been a beacon of hope. It has always been my fight song, my battle cry, you know? And I think that's so inspirational to have people that you believe in that have been through the paces. And at the end of the day, You know, we got the same blood. We got the same fight. We got the same DNA. You know, I come from him. You know what I'm talking about? But I'm often amazed at him. And you know, sometimes I talk about my dad and people think it's cliche. And maybe one day I'll write a book on my dad. And then from the few things I remember, the few words that I choose, maybe you'll believe me when I said he's the greatest man I ever met. Maybe you'll believe me when I say my dad walks on water. Maybe you'll believe me that I say my dad with such confidence, with such respect, with such believability. Because I'm not just talking. I was a beneficiary of, a son of, a mentor of the man. The man. And I also know that talking about my dad, I have to recognize that everybody was not fortunate as I was, as my siblings were, to have a full-time father. To have a father that went to work with the flu many times because of his responsibility at home. To be a father that would defend his family with his last breath, his last dollar, his last bit of energy. There was a movie that I think in some ways describes one of the facets of my father. And it was called The Boy Who Harnessed the Wind. And there was a scene in the movie where the famine was raging. They didn't have enough food for a full belly. The father ate very minimal food, very minimal, if he even ate. And then one day the little dog, you know, he's under the table. And the main character of the movie, he says something, he's gonna feed him. And the dad says, son, you better not feed that dog. Like, he's working, he's slaving, he's doing everything he can to take care of his family. And you're about to give the dog something to eat when he's not eating, and the dog has never plowed the field for you, planted seed for you. What a gross negligence on a little boy part. But he's a little kid. What he knows, you know? But that's my dad, you know? Dude has never ran from his responsibility of being a father and a dad, you know? And sometimes when you're young, you have no concept of what your parents are going through for you. No concept. And that's why some parents later on in life, they say, I did the best I could do. All you see is what they didn't do or what they did wrong, but you don't see the thousands of hours they've toiled for you. You don't see when they nurtured you when you were sick. You don't even remember when they tucked you in. You don't remember when they displayed amazing qualities of love to you. Empathy. What's up, brother? You don't see all of that. All you saw is you couldn't get this, you couldn't get that. They were mean. They whooped you. They talked crazy to you. That's all you see. And that's all you could see because you don't know all of the stuff they did behind the scenes for you. You don't know what mom did when she she gave up a career because she became a mom. And that became her career. You don't know what mom did when you didn't have conscious thought. And she stayed at your bedside all night. You don't know what your parents have done for you when you couldn't even do it for yourself. And if this applies to your grandparents or to your aunt and uncle, that's fine. But oftentimes we don't have the right gauge of reality because of the reality we exist in. But when we get older, sometimes we lose respect for the people that did so much for us when we couldn't even survive without them. But when I said my dad walked on water, he did. I remember being a little boy and my pops, he always showed up. He always showed up. Baseball was, and maybe still is in certain pockets, it's America's sport. And I remember my first baseball glove. How y'all doing? They're good? Remember my first baseball glove. Cal Ripken Jr., Rawlins. It was that tan leather. I don't remember what glove my brother had. I don't remember what glove my sister had. I don't remember what gloves my two junior brothers had. But I know all five of us had a glove. My pops had a glove. His glove had the finger hole for the index finger. I don't remember a lot of stuff, but I remember him writing my times tables on index cards for me. Him doing it for my other siblings. I remember him buying me my own set of Dr. Seuss books so I could learn how to read. He bought my brother his own set. I remember when, this was in the 90s, right? I remember my dad buying a freaking set of encyclopedias. Like this man comes to the house trying to sell some encyclopedias. My pa bought a set. This was pre-internet, of course, because he wanted us to have information from a trusted source so that we wouldn't be dumb. Like, I remember that. Now look, none of what I've said thus far has even stopped me from getting mad at him at times, because we all are ungrateful humans at the end of the day. But the dude has a laundry list, a dossier of things he's done for his family. And I haven't even touched all of it. That's just a few ramblings, unscripted, I remember the first time I realized everybody didn't have what I had, as far as a father and a mother in a home that was selfless for their family. Selfless. And I remember one of my homeboys, we met through a mutual friend, and we got close. I brought him on the river, caught his first fish, first time he ate fish and grits, first time He went hunting. First time, you know, he camped, like we became close. At some point, I even let him come live with me and my wife and my brand new baby. And I gave him her room, so he could get his stuff together and get on his feet and start his own family. And he's doing great. He's doing great, you know. But anyway, I remember we was in the truck one day talking, and he told me something. I don't think I've ever had my feelings hurt in my life like this, But he told me, he said, yeah, man, you silver spoon. And it offended me. It really did. It offended me greatly, It offended me greatly. My dad was a law enforcement officer. He wasn't a state trooper. He didn't make $100,000 a year. He worked 7 days a week. He slept a majority of the time when he was home. But when he was conscious, he was available. He had a dangerous job. I knew every day he went to work, he might not come back. I knew that. Accepted that. Hated the thought of him losing his gift of life because of a job. So as a young kid, I vowed if I ever had to, I would definitely get justice for him. No questions asked, So as a kid, I grew up like that. My mentality was always different, And when my friend, somebody that I let into my life, when he called me Silver Spoon, it really affected me. Because now I got to analyze who he think I am and where he think I came from. But I'll tell you a little secret. None of that had anything to do with me. It only had to do with the actions of my father and my mother. That's it. I had no control over the decisions my father and my mother made for their family of seven. 5 kids, 2 parents. 7. We didn't go on vacation every year. We didn't have plates that were gold. We didn't have silver spoons in the house. We had air conditioning. We had hot water. We had food. We had shelter. We had the most important things all kids deserve. We had the most important things all kids deserve. But I had no control over that. I had no control over my parents being married when I was brought into this world on accident. I think it was vodka, I had no control over the fact my parents had 2 kids after me. I had no control over that. I had no control that my dad took serious his responsibility to be a father when he became a father. I had no control over my mother being a great mom. I had no control over her putting up with my pa crap, and vice versa. I had no control over that. So for you to call me Silver Spoon, it was offensive. It was offensive. And when I became a father, August the 1st of 2004, I never said one time, I want to give my daughter everything I didn't have. Because I knew that was a pipe dream. I knew that. I vowed I would always be in my daughter's life. I vowed I would be monogamous to my wife. I vowed that no man would call, no, my daughter would call no man dad but me. So with a goal that high, I made sure I kept my pants up. I made sure I said no. I made sure most of the time I didn't flirt back. I made sure that I didn't step out. I made sure that I didn't look to step out, you know? So my boy, on the other hand, tried to give his kids everything he didn't have. I don't think he's wrong because I didn't have the life that he had. I was born to a different situation, different circumstances. I also made different choices when I became a parent. I didn't say, baby, hey, let's just go do something, me and you, forget the baby, we'll get my mom to watch her. I never did that. I was a full-time parent too. My wife was a full-time parent. But to say I was silver spoon, it hurt. But because I'm not a baby and I have a brain I can think, coming from where he came from, it was silver spoon. It's no different than us looking at Richie Rich as a kid, thinking, man, he's got everything. He did, but it wasn't his fault. He didn't ask for it. That was the situation he was born to. If I quoted the movie right, you know. So in my particular situation, I had nothing to do with the choices my dad made. But I do thank him for everything he sacrificed for. Look, so when I was firefighting, they had a guy that nobody liked. And it wasn't because he was a bad dude. He really wasn't a bad guy. He just really wanted justice for all. But he went about it the wrong way. But a lot of people didn't like him because he wanted total supremacy, you know? So one day he made me so mad, I was about to Queen Latifah set it off, you know? And I got a hold of myself, you know? And I had talked to my dad about it. I said, Pops, this dude almost got it. And you know what my dad said? He said, son, you want me to come take a ride over there? I'm like, heck no, man. I'm just talking to my boy, man. I don't need you to ride up on this fool, man. You know? But my dad never took a day off from being a dad, from being a father, from being a friend. Never took a day off. Sometimes we see pro athletes and we have adulation for them. Like, I really like Shaq. I really do. I think Shaq is a great guy. He's one of only a few celebrities, as we say, that I would like to meet in real life, you know? And if I ever hang out with Shaq, I'm gonna treat him just like I treat my dad. Hey man, your money don't mean nothing yet, you know? Let's go have fun. And I'm gonna ball out, you know? Hopefully I meet him when I got a few ducats, you know? But anyway, yeah. But that's how my pops, he was always on duty. All right. Selfless guy, you know? Never took a day off from us. And the same way you look at celebrities with adulation and respect, and all they did was play the game, or all they did was rebounded or scored or dribbled or kicked, They got humans on this earth, man. They got humans on this earth that played the game of life better than these famous athletes of whatever sport. You know, I saw a video yesterday of his dad. He had the football jersey from his favorite soccer club, and he wanted, I think, the coach to sign the jersey. And he's standing right there, you know, and he's like, please, man, for my son, you know. What you think my dad would have did? And you ain't even got to think. He would have signed the jersey. But for whatever reason, you know, safety, protocol, just the situation. He didn't know if the light was going to change. He didn't want to hold up traffic. Whatever his reasoning was, people thought that he should have signed the jersey, you know. And the video ain't about that. But it's like, just like that dude wanted a signature from his favorite player for his son, or his son's favorite player, you know. My pops was my favorite player. My mom's was my favorite player. My grandmother, you know what I'm saying? Like, we have people in real life that's like that. And sometimes we don't even acknowledge their greatness. We don't acknowledge their sacrifice. We don't acknowledge the level of commitment they have for us, the level of loyalty they have for us. We glorify people that can't even talk good English in an interview with a microphone and a platform. You know what I'm saying, man? Like, you know, yeah. And you don't understand nothing they said. And we glorify that. And you talking to somebody who used to glorify that, you know? But at the end of the day, the point is we have great people amongst us. We have great people that we know, great people that tried to educate us in school. All of the teachers wasn't bad. It's just a bad place to try to learn if you don't learn that way. School was boring to me until I applied myself. But I didn't enjoy going to school. That wasn't my thing. I did what I had to do, but I didn't enjoy it. I didn't look forward to going to school. I would have loved to went to a blacksmith forge and learn how to beat metal up into a shape that's useful, you know? I would have loved that. Put me on a construction site. Let me learn how to build a house. Let me learn how to run some conduit, you know? But that's not society today as a majority. That's just little pockets of the world. Like in Pakistan, in places like that, you know? So, and I shouldn't have said Pakistan because that's not accurate. But in some areas of the world, children start working with adults and they learn skills. They learn skills in the workforce at an earlier age. And I'm not saying that's right. I'm just saying, so they get a trade. They get a head start at learning how to work. Because at some point, that's what they're going to do, you know, until they clock out for good. You know, I'll just tell you this, because very few people will get to this part of the video, you know. But, you know, everything you see on the internet ain't real, you know. My car got repoed today, you know. And I'm limited with what I could do financially, like a lot of people, you know. I just happen to have a camera and a mouth that work and legs that work, you know. And I document some of my travels. But it was a blow in a way, but I knew I was behind, you know. Like I knew I was behind. Like I knew I was behind. But like everything, sometimes you don't realize how far you're behind. You know, and I want to thank my wife, man. Cause this girl been robbing Peter to pay Paul since I became a full-time bum, you know. And she endures a lot. She endures a lot. She's very loyal. She's very helpful. She good as gold, you know. What's up, brother? But I'm at a point right now where 4 years ago, when I medically retired from the fire department, I knew I couldn't afford to live in America, you know. I knew I couldn't afford to be here, man. I just knew it. And I've been putting a Band-Aid on it instead of a tourniquet for 3 years, you know. 3 years. So I said I would start this YouTube channel and just see where it goes. And maybe when my disability runs out and I'm forced to go back to work, maybe I could work for myself or just stick with making content, you know. So that was my plan. And sometimes you see me eating all over the city, spending money like I got it. But that's the other side of what you don't know or see. Most of us are in debt. Most of us live paycheck to paycheck. Most of us are not good with money because of decisions we make that just get compounded. So pay a $300 bill and you don't have 300, or pay what you could pay and then go get some ice cream or a shrimp po' boy. And that's what I chose to do. Because at the end of the day, I ain't never asked you for nothing. And you ain't never asked me, could you send me nothing? You know? But it does cost money to move around, you know? It does cost money for the content that I make, you know? So sometimes you may see me just making egg sandwiches. Well, there you go. Now you know why. I ain't got nothing else. Or sometimes you don't see me cooking. You know why? Because I ain't got nothing else. Or you see me do sardines in a can 5 days in a row. Because that's what I got, and I'm thankful for it. And you can say, well, why don't you get a job? Well, why don't you give me a job? How about that? Why don't you give me a job? You know, you could give me a thumbs up. You know what I'm saying? You could give me what you got. So you see how that goes? It goes both ways, you know? And I don't need you to fix my problems at the end of the day, especially problems that I've made or problems that I've inherited. I ain't never asked any of y'all's to subscribe. All I've ever asked, and all I will continue to ask, is that you comment on the videos. That's it. I ain't never asked you to like a video. Look at any of the 3,000 of them. I never said that. All I've asked you to do was comment. That's it. Now, I have said, hey, please support other channels that I rock with. I have said that. I have said that. But that doesn't directly benefit me. That's why I'm comfortable saying that. Because I'm not asking you to do anything for me. But I would like for you to help other people. It's complicated, I know. So, my phone off right now, people trying to call me, you know. I think I'm leaving it off too. As long as I got Wi-Fi, I'm gonna be all right. You good? Okay. Yeah. Sometimes, my firefighter background, people seem a little disoriented, so I always ask them if they're good. But anyway, it's just a bad, I'm down right now. Like, let me explain what I mean by down. I'm fine. Like, I'm right at home, you know what I'm saying? I know everything I got. I don't have any needs at this point. Mentally, I'm locked in with the fact that I don't have any wants. All I have is desires. Just like we did when we was kids. Kid ain't got no need. He got a place to stay. He got food. If you're in Louisiana, you got air conditioning. I got a friend that's 85 years old, and his wife just died. But for the last 3 years, he hasn't had air conditioning or heat in his house. And you know what? I told him first chance I get some money, I'm gonna get him a whole new system. New ductwork, new heater, new outside condenser for his air conditioning. Brand new system. And that's something I'm gonna do. When I'm gonna do it? When the Saints come marching in and them duckies come in, But I've learned from my pops, man, you gotta keep on climbing. You gotta keep moving. You can't just sit back and give up, man. It's okay to be depressed. It's okay to be trying to figure out your next move. Just don't make a worse move trying to figure out a good move. You're not destitute. I got a friend of mine, she liked to call me on the phone and talk. And she was like, I can't get in touch with you. You need to answer the phone. I said, my phone is off. She said, well, as long as you could text message. Baby, I didn't ask you for no money. What are you talking about? I never asked you for no money. And that's why I think I'm gonna leave my phone off. Because it's like, I provide a service to you, the person that wants to talk to me. I listen to what you got to say. I give you my time. Whether I'm sleeping, eating, showering, whatever, I give you all of that. And I'm here for you. I'm here for you. But some people just don't realize what goes on behind the scenes in my life. And that's how this whole YouTube channel got started. Because I wanted to start a homestead, and I knew when I got hurt, I wouldn't be able to afford to live like when I was working. I knew that. So I had to, how y'all doing?
How you doing?
All right now. So I had to make some different arrangements. I knew I couldn't keep up with the Joneses no more. So I had to make some arrangements, And I knew my life was gonna change 1,000% negatively, because now I can't swing a hammer no more. Because now I can't pick up a jackhammer and climb a scaffold. So I knew my life was over as far as I've known my whole adult life since 16, working. I knew it wasn't up to me no more, So I was trying to be a good boy and just, accept it, And I'm gonna tell you the truth. When I got so desperate, listen to me good. I ain't never told y'all this. When I got so desperate and I felt so hopeless as a human being, as a father, as a husband, going through 2 injuries and watching my wife and daughter work, and they're still working. But when I went through this situation, like, it bankrupted me mentally, because I didn't feel like a man no more. I didn't feel like my dad no more. I felt like a person who was worthless. I felt like a burden, I felt demasculated. And I felt that way for almost like 4 years, you know. But when I was at my lowest state, man, I said I'm gonna start a YouTube page, you know. And Bad Cook was one of the reasons. And I said I'm gonna start it, you know. And that's the only reason I started the YouTube page. And once I started it, you know, I felt a little optimistic because I knew that I was taking steps to try to do something to improve my situation temporarily, but also long term. So that's why I've always told some of you, look, man, just record and upload. Don't worry about nothing else. Don't overthink it. Don't worry about getting monetized. Don't worry about none of that. Just record and upload. And that's why I've always said that. And that's why I've never asked anybody to subscribe, because I don't want to put any pressure on anybody in reference to me. But I will say this, I got so low and I felt so hopeless that this was all I could do to try to work towards feeling like a provider again for my family and friends, feeling like a man again. And I ain't never told y'all that. And I'm sorry I had to tell y'all that now. But my first month on YouTube, my brother-in-law told me something that I've reflected on since then that has really encouraged me. He said, man, you really working for yourself. He actually saw the effort I was putting into YouTube, and he translated that to you self-employed. Like you really are working hard. And he just don't know how that has warmed me up on cold nights. How that has really encouraged me to stay positive and keep moving forward. Like what you see on camera is just on camera, you know. You don't know the backstory. You don't know what goes on when the camera off, you know. And you ain't supposed to know. You ain't supposed to know. Because it ain't your business. You know, it's not your problem. I'm sure you have your own problems. And I'm sure like people have listened to everything I've said thus far and they're like, dang, you know, I got it worse than him. And look, there are people that have it worse than me. But I'm not complaining about having it worse. Because like I said, what's up, brother? I got a lot to be thankful for. You know? But I'm going to still keep hustling and grinding and trying to, you know, rob Peter to pay Paul. And I don't regret none of that. Y'all have a good one. And that's just where I'm at. You know? That's where I'm at. But back to my dad and my mom's, like, they doing their thing, you know? My dad's still working. And I still want to take care of him. First chance I get. You know? First chance I get. I've always wanted to be a good son to him and to my moms and to my siblings and friends, you know? A good brother and a good friend. And I've lived my life that way. I've lived my life that way. And to everybody I hurt, I'm sorry. You know, I'm sorry. I've hurt a few people. I'm sorry. I know I didn't hurt you twice. I know that. except for maybe one or two people. But life is about rising above your challenges and seeing the beauty in it. Like today, man, sun just popped out. It is a beautiful cloudy day. It's not dark blue. It's a little gray blue. But look what I'm doing, man. I'm riding my bike. Got all of my digits. Phalanges. Got my mandible. My thorax. My flux capacitor. Still moving forward. But we're about 10 miles in to the Daily 20. And if you made it to this part of the video, do not give no spoiler alerts. I must just say that. Do not give no spoiler alerts. Because that ain't cool. I don't know. Maybe today I'm going to go fishing. My kidney's feeling pretty good right now. I might rig the wagon up to the bike. I wanted to hang out with the Mud Boys. Last year I bought a tent so we could go camping. But we just couldn't get our schedules together. And that's my fault. Because I don't know when school let out and all that stuff. So I got a brand new tent in the closet. Haven't been fishing, Look, reason I wasn't fishing was because I had no car insurance. And the reason I had no car insurance was because my driver's license is suspended. Because of my car insurance lapping because my funds was low. So when you rob Peter to pay Paul, man, eventually you lose, So I said, well, instead of trying to pay, if I lessen, like when they cut my cell phone off, if I just lessen what I'm using, then that money we do have could go to other places, other institutions, And so that's why I said that, man, And that's why it's great to have a bicycle. You don't even worry about the repo man, or a tow truck. I'll tell you this. This is the last thing I'm going to say about it. So when I got hurt, like my life has changed a few times since getting hurt, And like when I got hurt, my wife was working and I was working. And I didn't know how my health was going to go. My daughter was working too. I didn't know how my health was going to go. So, we were handling our business, But things got worse for me with my health. Oh, Riverboat, Creole Queen. So things got worse for my health. So I couldn't do anything further. Well, my wife hurt her shoulder. I think it's like the rotator cuff or something like that. She needs to have surgery, but she keep putting it off because she couldn't. So she changed jobs. And right now, in this incipient stage of this particular job, because it's a commission type job, so she works every day, but it's like serving. You get paid a flat rate, and then you get commission based off of what you do. So I'm thankful for that. But I thought that she would be doing a little bit better with the job. So whatever my deficit was from my disability, it would offset the repo man, or the cell phone plan, or the $80 a month, uh, the $80 a month, look at these chumps, the $80 a month for my continuous glucose monitor, you know, stuff like that. So it never, whoa, all right, all right, all right, all right. I don't know why you try calling me, dude. You know my phone off, bro. Stop playing. See, that's somebody that don't know what they're talking about. Like, he's got an iPhone, I got an iPhone. My phone off. You could text me through Wi-Fi, you could call me through Wi-Fi. But if I'm not at home, phone ain't gonna work. He's one of the people I send my, every time I ride my bike, since my phone been off, he and my daughter gets a text from Strava that I'm going to ride my bike, because he knows exactly where I'm gonna be at. Like right now, my daughter's at work. So being that she's at work, she can't leave work to come get me broken down on side the road, you know? So like if I don't come home and she's at home at 10 o'clock at night and I'm still ain't home, she could come ride over here and see where I'm at. Or whatever, you know, he could, you know? So I'm trying to be responsible. But he think because I'm calling him through FaceTime that my phone is on. Learn how to use your phone, Papa. Anyway, I can't play with them today, man. Them e-bikes, my kidney's already hurting. I probably need to drink the rest of this water too. But anyway, so, you know, we doing our thing, man. You know, and so I thought the old lady would be making a few more dollars. And it just hadn't happened yet. You know, like the week before our cruise, her check was $197 for that week, you know, and she worked 5 days that week. So, and I'm not looking for anybody to give suggestions, because I promise you it won't help. But if you want to give a suggestion, just make sure you send $1,000 with that suggestion, so that while we're trying to implement your suggestion, we could live off that $1,000. You know what I'm saying? $1,000 suggestion will be accepted. So just put 1K in the comment section so I can know you got a suggestion. Yeah, so, hey, so look, make you laugh. So today, my wife was leaving to go to work. She came back in. I thought she forgot something. She said the truck missing. And I was like, I said, well, I don't think nobody stole it. Because yesterday I did hear something. I wasn't sure what it was. And normally I look out the window. But these last few weeks, I said I'm not looking out the window no more. I'm not looking out the window. What's up, dude? Whoa. I said I ain't looking out the window, you know? And so I made my mind up not to look out the window, you know? And sure enough, this was the big one. And I heard it, but I didn't look out the window to see it. What's up, brother? I didn't look out the window to see it, you know? So the point I'm making is, like, it happened. It finally happened, you know? I've been expecting this for the last 3 years, you know? Because of, you know, because of just not being able to afford certain luxuries of life. You know, and I didn't want to believe it, but I knew it was going to happen. And it finally did. So there it is. Now, after the smoke settled, you clean up the rubble and you move forward, man, with a spirit of intrepidation. Spirit to live, man. the will to live, intestinal fortitude, all of that. Life got to go on because I'm responsible for that. You know, so I'm drawing on that inner strength and DNA and the biological tie I got to my dad, you know, to just keep going, man. You know, what else you gonna do? Roll out, lay down and give up? Yeah, that's an option. But then that dude look just like my baby brother. What's up, bro? God, dog, man. Dude look just like my baby bro. That is freaky. My bad, city boy. Hey, one day, me and my little bro was going to fish, and he was going to meet me there, you know? So I pull up to the spot thinking I would get there before him. And I seen this dude. I'm like, man, I wonder who that is, you know? I thought it was a Mexican, you know? It was my baby bro, man. I said, how you like that, man? People must really do, because whenever I go to the Latino store, they always speak Spanish to me. So I just say it back, bueno back, you know? Talked a little bit of Spanish, I know. Like when I was in Mexico, man, I felt so at home. Felt so at home. Take care, brother. And yeah. But that's how it go, man, you know? All right, bro. We're going to keep moving forward. Temporary glitch, you know? Oh, man. It's a beautiful day. I'm wanting to get some coconut water so I can flush my kidneys out. And I'm looking for the next adventure. I was supposed to go ride in the city today, but it didn't happen. I might go tomorrow. I don't know. This might be a good time to run away, you know? Nah, but your life don't amount to the things you have. Your life don't amount from it. And this is just a humbling moment of who am I as an individual? Who am I, you know? Am I stuck on status? Am I stuck on brand? Am I stuck on the Jones? Am I stuck on, like, nah, I'm me. I'm my own individual. Right, what's up, brother? My own individual self, you know? And the crazy thing is, like, the only thing I'm gonna say about the situation is you're gonna have so many people that's like trying to figure stuff out. It's like, what is there to figure out? Y'all know my situation better than me, you know? Like, I knew a guy 30 years ago who told me a story about when he got hurt and he hurt his back. He was like, he had to sell everything. Like, he had to sell everything. And he had a 1911 from World War II, and he had to sell that. And like, this is when he's back on top, you know what I'm saying? And he said out of everything he sold, he said that hurt him the most, you know? He said that hurt him the most, having to sell his prized possession, you know? Hey, look at the riverboat. And he didn't let it stop him from moving forward, you know? Never owned another 1911 like that, but he never gave up. just like you, just like me. Your life don't amount from the things you possess. But I didn't want to record this long of a video. But I guess it's for the good. I guess it's for the good. You should start a YouTube video and get free therapy. Hey, look at the squirrel. They got a red squirrel down this way, and it's got a white tip on the tail. Red squirrel with a white tip. Just like a deer, a white-tailed deer. It's pretty cool. I've seen it 3 times. But I'll see y'all in the next one. Appreciate y'all watching. Thank y'all for y'all support. Appreciate y'all commenting. And guess what? We make a good team. Without you, it'll be nothing but pictures and videos in the phone. You know? Keep your head up. It's going to get better. After all, you've been through worse.